Okay, Algebra 2, I'm teaching two sets today because you already know how to do both of them. In the 70s, I mentioned that there's going to be a lot of skipped lessons, so here we are. I'm going to teach 71, even though you already know it, and then I'm going to teach 72, and you're going to do 72 for homework. So let's start with the quadratic formula, which everyone has to memorize. It's negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, so if we were to write the standard for a trinomial, it would look like this. Ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Okay, so the number in front of x squared is going to be a. The number in front of x is going to be b. And the last term, c, is going to be, it's going to be c. Okay, so negative b. That a is 3. Let's circle these so you can see them. A is 3. B is negative 2. C is 5. And yes, the signs matter, of course. So negative b. You got to use parentheses when you plug these in. Negative b, that's negative 2 plus or minus the square root of b squared. Well, that's negative 2 in parentheses squared. The negative is squared as well. This will end up being a positive number right here, this thing right here. Minus 4 times a, which is 3, times c, which is 5, all over 2 times a. Well, that's 2 times 3. So negative 2 is 4, plus or minus the square root of negative 2 squared. That's negative 2 times negative 2, which is positive 4, minus 4 times 3, 12. 12 times 5, 60. Okay? Whoop. Divided by, all over 6, all over 6. All right? So, we're going to get 4 plus or minus the square root of negative 56 all over 6. But of course, this can be simplified. Give me a moment. Let me erase this. Okay? 4 plus or minus the square root of negative 56 all over 6 is where we are right now. Okay? So let me erase it. I'm going to go up here. Okay. Oh, just a moment. 4 plus or minus the square root of negative 56 all over 6. Well, the square root of negative 56, that's going to be 56i, isn't it? Because it's the square root of a negative number. But the square root of 56, you can simplify. 2, 28, 2, 14, 2, 7. Oh, look at that, a pair of 2's. So that can go out front. And then you have 2 and 7 down here. So that's going to be the square root of 14. So really I have 4 plus or minus 2 radical 14 I. There's that I. Man, these markers are fat. All over 6. Well, if it's all over 6, let's put them each over 6 so we can simplify them individually. 4/6 is 2/3 plus or minus 2/6, which is 1/3 times radical 14i. So 2 plus or minus radical 14i all over 3 is your answer. Quadratic formula, just plugging stuff in. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. If you can simplify the radical, you always do. If you can simplify the fractions, because they're all over 6, you always do. Okay, let me erase this one moment. Stay with me because it's black now, but we're going to see the light. The light. There it is. Okay, now that's problem set 71. We're not doing that. 72, lines from experimental data. We already discussed. We're not doing these. These are weird problems. Not doing it. But we are doing negative angles. Okay, I'm going to do this one right here. 4, comma, negative 210. All right, 4, comma, negative 210. So, usually, we have to do a graph of these. Usually we go this way, counterclockwise for positive angles. Well, now it's a negative angle. So instead of going counterclockwise, you're going to go clockwise. Now 210 degrees going this way, that means 90, 180. Oh man, how much more? Just a little bit more. It's going to be 30 more, which means this is the triangle I'm looking for right here. I'm looking for this point right here. Okay, because we go up to there, that's negative 210, which means that inside of here is 30. Inside of here is 60. Let's see, the hypotenuse is 4. That's what they tell us from the polar coordinates, 4. We want to figure out x and y. I know my x value is going to be negative because we're going that way on the number line from the origin, negative. My y value will be positive because we're going up. So x is negative, y is positive. So let's get to work. Let's see. To figure out x, I'm going to use the cosine of 30 degrees. That must equal the adjacent x divided by the hypotenuse 4. Okay? So 1 times x is x equals 4 times the cosine of 30 degrees. So x must be approximately negative 3.46 if you do it on your calculator. Okay, negative 3.46 because we're in the second quadrant, negative, positive. For your y value, you're going to use sine of 30 degrees. That equals the opposite, which is y, over the hypotenuse, which is 4. Put sine of 30 over 1, cross multiply. Y equals 4 times the sine of 30. And if you plug that into your calculator, you get this approximation. 2. Okay? And since that is going up in the second quadrant, it's positive 2. Makes sense because the sine of 30 is 1/2. Eventually, you'll memorize this wonderful chart in geometry class next year. It's just a beautiful work of art. The geometry chart, not my work. So, for negative values, you're going to go clockwise now. That's the only new thing. It's not that big of a deal. And I also taught the quadratic formula. So we did 2 sets, but you're only going to do 1 set for homework. It's problem set 72, due at, 10 o'clock tonight. Thanks, guys.